everybody, Jason Sorrell here, Creative Oddity Studios. Wanted to show you my most recent art acquisition. This is the SH Figure Arts Body Chan Deluxe Set. I'll move the figure out of the way here and move the box where you can see it. So this I saw advertised on Facebook last year. It's a fully articulated artist's model. It's in anime proportions, which means the head's bigger than it should be. But other than that, it's it's a fairly good model. This is of course, the box it came in. I wanted to point out that there was a little bit of damage in the shipping, and this is the second time I'm doing this video. My initial unpacking video, the quality wasn't very good, so I decided to do this over. Anyways, and that's one of the first complaints I have about this figure. I'm going to go into basically a review of this figure and why I think it's really basically not worth the money. So last year I saw this advertised for $120. This figure, it came down recently to $60 through the company that was offering it on Facebook. I think it's Happy Satchel is the name of the company or name of the website. The packaging that it arrived in, because I was mentioning the box, it was a little beat up. It actually arrived in a bubble mailer. So not a cardboard box, not a very sturdy package, and it took a little bit of damage. The item itself is undamaged, but the box was damaged, so that was a point of concern. This came all the way from China. It only took a couple of weeks, which was kind of cool. How quickly it did arrive, that was very cool. This is by the Bandai company. So you might be familiar with that if you purchase toys or action figures, that kind of thing. This is the deluxe set, so the assumption is that there's a non-deluxe version. I think the non-deluxe version does not come with the stand or all the little gadgets and gizmos that are in with the deluxe set. So one of the things right off the bat was the packaging. The packaging, unfortunately, meant the box got damaged, and that's risky, basically, especially if you're shipping it all the way from China. So something to be aware of when you're buying this. Another thing to be aware of is that the advertising for this kind of is misleading, because it looks like you're getting what might be a bigger figure. And I'm sure the actual measurements are presented in the advertising, but it appears like you're getting at least an 8-inch figure. It would be nice if it were an 8-inch or 11-inch figure, but this figure actually is not very big at all. Just to put a ruler up here by comparison, when I have her laid out, she's about almost 5.5 inches long from head to the base of her feet, the sole of her foot, basically. So she's only about 5.5 inches long, which means if you're going to be doing some poses with this figure, you're going to have to either be looking, at a really small object, or you're going to take pictures of the pose and then render the pose with those pictures. This way, you take a picture of the pose and then you kind of render it. It seems to be part of the thinking in the instruction book that comes with it. The instruction book is all in Chinese. But if you look at, the images in the book, again, suggest that it's bigger than it really is. Let me see if I actually didn't have that on camera, sorry. So, let me show you. The indication is that you pose your figure and then take a picture of the figure itself. That way you can get in and get closer to the figure and see what's going on there. Here, it looks like they're even suggesting that you get a picture of the figure and then render your artwork right on top of the posed figure. And I want to show you some of the poses too that they have this figure in. I know it's kind of small. Let me see if I can see some other ones here. Here's a pose. So it is a very posable, highly articulated figure. But let's look at the figure itself. Let me show you some things with the figure. So the stand is kind of nice. It comes with a little, all the little knickknacks, all the little doodads that came in it are actually in this little container here, this case that holds all the different hands that are available, all the different little toys that you can have with the action figure. And then if you wanted to, have the action figure in an aerial pose, it comes with this bar that you can actually put the figure in. the figure will stand on her own with a little bit of effort, or with a particular pose, a 3-point pose, like on knees in one hand or what have you. Or even just on the knees, it will actually stand up. So it's right now the joints, all the points of articulation are very tight. I imagine that as you work with this model over time, those joints will loosen up, which can be a good thing, but also can be problematic, because let's say these ankle joints right here, you go to have this figure stand on its own, and after a while, if these ankle joints are loose, well, then it's not going to be able to stand. Same with the knee joints and what have you. So let me go ahead and take it off the bar. So taking this apart, the lid of the case, it can be a stand by itself. This was kind of nice. All the hands that it comes with, all these little tiny hands, are on this little tree. And the problem here is, as I get closer, they start to blur out. So, but it comes with all these different hand poses. Now, if you have trouble drawing gestures, drawing hands, this can be helpful. But again, it's one of those things where you kind of want to like take a picture of it and then get in close to it, because given the size of the figure, it doesn't seem, in my mind, to be very helpful. The hands are designed so you have gesture hands, and then you have hands for gripping or just fists. So there is actually a hand, there's a hand for using a pistol, hands that do different things. I've got the sword hands on the figure right now, and it came with the sword. There's an extra tree to place the hands on. It comes with little plastic toys, basically. So it comes with a little laptop, kind of a pad type device, a small pistol. I'm gonna move all these things where you can actually see them against the white board here. A little flip cell phone, an iPhone style phone, and a stylus type pencil. You can't really see that between my fingers. Let me go ahead and lay all that out. And my camera is not very good for the little stuff, so that's why everything's so distant from the camera itself. But there are all the little items that it comes with, and the various hands that it comes with. Now, one of the things I find problematic about the hands and about the size of the figure, again, lending to the eventual wear and tear of this figure, is that the way the hands connect to the figure's wrists, go ahead and take the sword out, is that at the base of the hand is a small hole. And what goes in that hole, there's a stem on the end of the wrist. You saw how difficult that was. There's a stem at the end of the wrist. Let me see if you can see that. That it's basically a little bulb and stem that slips into that hole. So one of the two things are going to happen over time. Either the hole it's at the bottom of the wrist, as you pull the hand off and on, again, switching them out, you're either going to wear that hole out, it's going to become loose, and it's going to be difficult to keep the hand on the wrist, or that stem, given how small it is going to break off as you try to force the hand back onto the wrist itself. So my recommendation is pick a hand and stick with it, and then create your hands, render your hands separately. Don't use the figure for rendering hands. Again, and it's really small, so it's difficult to do anyways. And here I am trying to get the hand back onto the wrist on camera, and it's not easy. The thing moves. It is a pain. I'm worried that I'm actually going to break her fingers trying to get the hand back on the wrist. I may just do this off camera later, just so that I don't mess it up, because it did cause, there it goes, it popped right back on. Alright, so not quite popped right back on, but it's back on there. So that's one of the issues with the figure, is that the pieces are so small there's concern that it's going to break. Now it does come in different colors. There's a gray, just basically a gray plastic. That probably should have been the way I went instead of with the black. But I like stuff that's, I don't know. I like the black plastic. I just thought it would look cool. And I thought about actually, what I was going to do was, in time, eventually just go ahead and get another figure. So, I would have, I'd have 2 or 3 of them. They actually have a skin, I don't know, we want to call it peach, technically flesh tone, I guess, figure as well. But I went with the black here. Which you can see, I can see it very well looking at it in reality, but when I'm looking at it through the camera, it's not very obvious. So, see if I adjust the light, you can see a little bit more. But yeah, so it comes in different colors. But like I said, I thought about maybe getting more of these, but given the price point, $60, and how small it is, and just how fragile it will probably be over time, I'm probably not going to purchase another one. I probably will, I'll use this one as it is meant to be used, and I'm sure I'll get my money back for using it. I mean, we're talking maybe 7 prints or maybe 15 stickers. If I render a figure using this model, then it's made his money back or whatever. So that's all fine and good. But I'm just overall the product, while it is kind of cool, it would be, I think it's more reasonable for this product if it were, the price point were $20 or $30. That would make a lot of sense. Another thing, the link that I purchased this through, something on Facebook, and of course they brought the price down to 60 some odd dollars. Okay, from 120 where it had been originally. Doing a little bit of research, I found that this is offered regularly on Amazon for $60. So when you see that price point, if the price point does go back up, and if you're thinking about buying one of these, you can get it for $60 to $75 on Amazon if you wanted to purchase this. Just keep in mind that you're getting a barely 5.5 inch figure for $60. Frankly, you could probably get a decent artist model for $80, and with all the points of articulation, and it would be just as good. The figure is highly posable, but not as posable as suggested. Like if you look at it has these shoulder joints, which are cool. So instead of like the G.I. Joe figure that just has a ball and shoulder and it rotates all the way around, there is a shoulder cuff. The problem is that her arm does not want to go up above her head. You can't rotate. That shoulder cuff has a limit to how far you can rotate, so it doesn't have the full range of motion that you would come to expect in a real figure. Everything else, as far as the movement, her back doesn't lean back as far as I might like. And that's the biggest point of contention I have, is that the shoulder joint just doesn't have the range of motion that I would expect. Otherwise, she's highly posable, and of course comes with all these other hands and everything else that are that can, I mean, if you want the hands for gesturing or whatever, those are available. So yeah, while I'm not like incredibly disappointed with this, like I said, I'm probably not going to buy another one just because it is not everything I think it was billed to be. It is highly posable. It is more posable, I would say, than a lot of artist models, but doesn't give the full range of motion or posability that I had hoped. It also is not nearly the size that I expected, and then the shipping was a little shoddy. And the price, just for the price point, I mean, throw a cardboard box in, guys. You're charging me $60 for this piece of plastic, this little 6-inch piece of plastic. I get it, it's a lot of different little doodads and everything else, but frankly, you're producing them in mass. I'm sure that somebody with a 3D printer could render me something like this and actually save me money on the overall cost. So there it is, the SH Figuarts Body Chan Deluxe Set by Bandai. Hope you dig this video, and if you like it, if you think it's cool and everything else, I'm not going to say don't buy it, but really kind of shop around, take a look at other artist models. You might be happier with something else. So that's all I got to say. I'm out.